Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Agent Impact. Right now, we got Zach Harlow, the sales ninja, right? My ninja. And he's going to be spitting some knowledge with me about sales, marketing, the difference between, giving you some nuggets to take away. So sit back, relax, or be on the edge of your seats because there's going to be some good stuff here.
There you go.
Zach's my man. He's tell us about yourself and where you came from, bro.
Well, hey, Jay, first things first, man, I want to say thank you and give a big shout out to everybody watching this thing. It's a pleasure to hang out with you and your tribe. And a little bit about me and a little bit about my background. I have been an insurance entrepreneur over the last 15 years. We own and operate our own independent brand and our own independent agency. And then I do a lot of sales coaching and sales consulting specific to people in the insurance industry niche, business to business. And my passion, my absolute love and joy is training and development and seeing people thrive inside of the commission-based industry.
Yeah, and Zach's even being a little modest because he has built an empire in his field and what he does and the skill sets he has just from talking to him and hearing how he educates his tribe is pretty awesome. And the way that people follow you because of the value that you lead in with. So let me ask you this question, dude, to start it right off. Are you more of a salesperson or a marketer? And what is the difference?
Oh, man, that's good. We're going to start off like guns a-blazing, huh?
We're going heavy right now.
Let's do it. Man, I consider myself first and foremost a salesperson at heart. I love sales, but I actually believe that sales and marketing go hand in hand. There's a lot of people out there that are in the sales profession, but aren't very good at necessarily marketing themselves or marketing their brand. And when you're able to marry the two together, when a good, strong salesperson with a great product that they trust and they believe in and they know is going to make an impact on people's lives is able to understand how to market themselves and market the message to get it out to the masses, then great things happen. I think one of the biggest lies that a lot of salespeople believe, especially salespeople that represent a great product or a great service, is I hear this all the time in my niche. They're like, oh man, the product is so good. Fill in the blank. The product is so good, it just sells itself. No, it doesn't. There's not a single product out there that we in the sales profession are paid a heavy commission for that sells itself. Things like maybe an Apple iPhone. Now that product sells itself, right?
If it sold itself, you wouldn't have a job.
That's exactly what I tell people all the time is like, you never want to get the attitude or to the point where the product literally sells itself, because when that happens, take the cell phone industry, for example, prior to 2007, there's guys in the cell phone business making bank. They're making, some of these guys making up to six figures slinging cell phones. What happens in 2007? Steve Jobs stands on stage, pulls this little thing out of his pocket and is like, computer in your pocket, right? And by 2008, 2009, changed the entire freaking industry. And now, give me a break. They sell these $1,100, $1,200 iPhones every single year with lines wrapped around the store. And nobody is paid a big fat commission in order to sell a product that sells itself. So my point to you, Jay, is, or to everybody that we train and we work with, is just understand that unless you've got a product like an iPhone that is in such demand, it does sell itself. Sales and marketing have to come together. And a true professional is going to be able to marry the sales personality with the marketing message. And that is where magic takes place.
Yeah, I hear you 100%. And the way that the listeners right now, what you guys are thinking, most people that are listening right now are real estate agents. We got some property managers and other sales and marketing related fields, but primarily real estate agents. And one of the big ways that this applies is all of the industry disruptors that are getting into real estate. I had a friend of mine in the property management world. He texted me yesterday. He said Redfin reached out to him and they wanted to do some kind of interview or promotion about and ask some questions about his property management company. And, he's like, yeah, it seems like a no-brainer. I said, whoa. I'm like, hold on. It might not be, because maybe they're trying to pry for information to do market research so that right now they're not in property management, but that's right now. Zillow didn't always sell homes or own homes. Zillow didn't do mortgages before. Like, all of these things are changing, and it's that human element that's different. And the problem that I see that I want to protect people from is becoming obsolete because you don't understand the key differentiator between AI, right? Artificial intelligence, and being a salesperson, that human
Right.
interconnection, you know? So
Well, Jay, the simple facts are those salespeople, those sales professionals that are really nothing more than professional order takers. And it doesn't matter if you're in the insurance business, you're in the real estate business, you're a realtor, you're an insurance agent. It doesn't matter. Like those that are just simply order takers, they go show a couple homes or 20 homes or 30 homes or 40 homes trying to get that person to buy a home. And they don't know how to market themselves and make the buying experience an extremely interactive process where they're able to marry a prospective buyer with the home solution that they want. If they're not able to sell, not take orders, those people are going out of business left and right.
all right, so here,
Technology changing that game.
what's the biggest issue that you see
Yeah.
where people can't make that connection when someone fails?
Oh man, I think the biggest part that, okay, for example, I'll take my world of the insurance entrepreneur,
Yes.
your world of the real estate entrepreneur. It doesn't really matter either way. They see themselves that, man, I represent a product or a carrier or a service or a real estate firm. And if somebody's coming to me and they want to buy a house, then they have the built-in need for the product that I sell. And all I have to do is just show them the home and they're going to buy it. Man, that is so far from true. I have personally bought many homes. I've got, I don't know, lots of real estate. I own commercial real estate. I own residential real estate. I have worked with really good realtors. I have
You
worked
own
with
mobile. You own mobile real estate.
I even own some mobile real estate. That's right. And
Zach's
I
traveling around the country right now for a couple or few months. So
yeah, we're gonna sell one of our houses and hit the road in the RV for about a year. Just go have some fun with the kids while they're young. But man, I guess what I'm getting at with this is the really good real estate agents that I've had interaction with. They were able to sit down and really listen. They asked questions first, right? They really wanted to know, what is it that you're wanting? Why are you wanting that? What is important to you? And then they go out like a laser targeted machine and bring back a few things that I couldn't just immediately have my own query searching on Zillow and figuring out the same thing for myself. Where I've worked with other real estate agents, where I've bought homes in Texas, I've bought homes in Arizona, I've got homes in Colorado, and and they set me up with like an MLS email thingamajigger, and my email would get bombarded with new listings. And I'm like, what is the point of this? You're nothing more than an order taker. If all you're going to do is transact be the middleman of the transaction between my desire to buy a property and your desire to sell the property, but you're not helping me. You're not taking the journey. You're not pre-scrubbing the houses for me. And then when you get there, man, I picked this house because it has this. You told me these things are really, really important to you. Let's show you exactly what it is that you're looking for. I mean, the whole point is you've got to be able to narrow it down so that the prospect gets what they want as quickly as possible. Otherwise, technology is going to completely replace you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and as quickly as possible is a very key point too, because people's attention span is so low nowadays.
Oh, it's about 2 seconds.
Yeah, if that, right?
I mean, you've got to, as an insurance entrepreneur, as a real estate agent, it doesn't really matter. You've got to bring value to the table that Zillow and e-insurance apps and whatnot don't bring, and that usually is knowledge and experience.
Let's talk about
knowledge and experience, man. So much that you can do to help facilitate the actual sales process will separate you.
Let's get that right. Let's talk on that, but let's have it apply to you personally and also in your industry.
Sure.
How did you first get started in doing what you do and being in the insurance field?
Oh man, we got to rewind like 15 years ago for that.
Yeah, you need to.
So, man, 15 years ago, I got out of college. I had already built a successful lawn and landscape company at that time. But I really wanted to get into something that had more of a residual type of income to it, something that could be done once and pay me over and over and over again. I actually looked into real estate. I looked into insurance. I looked into pharmaceutical sales. Looked into a bunch of different things. And I landed on insurance specifically because I loved the idea of the business-to-business environment. I loved the idea of being able to get paid a renewal or a residual income. And when I looked at the different carriers and I looked at what different insurance companies were offering, I actually went to work. My first insurance company that I represented for many years was Aflac. That's where I got my start, built some big agencies with them. Was a regional director for them for the past 10 years. I built some big multi-million-dollar agencies in a few different states. And then about a year and a half ago, we completely branched out on our own, opened up our own completely independent private agency. And now, getting to do sales coaching and consulting work for independent insurance agents all over the United States has been just a blast.
Yeah. So, and it sounds like, 15 years, you're really doing what you love. But I'm sure it's not always been easy. And a lot of people that are listening and watching this, they're stuck or they've been stuck. So give us an example of one of your biggest challenges that you've come across and how you got away from that.
Oh, man. I think anybody in life, in any industry that has built anything where people look at it and go, man, one day I'd like to have homes in multiple states, or I'd like to have commercial real estate, or whatever it is. We have failed our way. I like to literally call it failing your way to success. So there's a lot of stories that I can tell right here. I'll start with one that you said, a lot of people kind of get into a slump. And I actually just did a Facebook Live video about this with my tribe in the Insurance Entrepreneur Group a couple of days ago. And I was talking about the slump, right? Like when we all get into this, we get into this rut, we get into this place where we just can't quite get the momentum that we need, and we feel stuck and we feel frustrated, and what we're doing isn't working, and we're putting time in and we're putting effort in, we're putting energy in, and we just don't feel like we're getting the results that we should be getting. Is this making sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
So this exact scenario happened to me. I remember the first major time that happened was about 13 years ago. So I was about a year and a half, 2 years into being a new insurance entrepreneur. I was working hard, and I was in the Dallas, Texas market. I was busting my butt trying to prospect and pound pavement and find prospects and cold calling, like a million cold, like just all the work it takes to generate the leads, to do the sales process. And while I was having success, and I was making some awards that the carriers had lined out, my trainers had lined out for me, I just didn't feel like I was getting quite the traction that I needed. And then furthermore, I kept looking around, like all these other commission-based salespeople around me, and the trainers would take these other new hires out that weren't busting their butt, that weren't working their tail off, but they're on the same exact 100% commission contract that I was on. But because the trainer needed another bonus, or because the trainer needed another feather in their cap, they would take this new person out and basically just gift them business, gift them a sale, gift them a new account or a new policy.
Rewarding poor behavior?
Rewarding piss poor behavior would be.
What happens if you do that to your kids?
Well, it's funny because they wondered why it turned the office into a pretty toxic culture pretty quick. And then I watched a revolving door happen. Like it started spinning like a carousel with people coming in and people coming out, because as soon as you start incentivizing pathetic behavior, then guess what? You get more pathetic, piss poor behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And for me though, I'm out there busting my butt, and a couple of my buddies, one specific guy that he and I are still very good friends today, we're busting our butt. We're out there in the field. We're doing everything we can, and we're getting nothing. And I mean, literally no handouts, nothing handed to us, because we were producing our own results. So it was like, well, I'm not going to give you free stuff when you're already hitting all your awards. I don't, by giving you something, it doesn't help me. So I'm just not going to do it. That was kind of the trainer's attitude, I guess. And it really got in my head. And I remember the fourth quarter of 2000, what would that have been? 2000, probably 6 or 7, somewhere around 2006. I remember having a terrible, like the worst quarter I have ever had in sales, the worst, no profit coming in, no groups getting open, no results happening for myself. And I remember like being just head trash. I don't know how else to say it. Just all this garbage rolling around in my head about anger and frustration. But the funny thing is just like in the real estate business, guess what? If I didn't go to work and make a sale, guess how much I got paid?
Yeah, you don't get paid.
Nada, right? And I woke up literally out of a dead sleep. I woke up, sat up straight up in bed. I will never forget this day. And I kind of had one of those come to Jesus moments where I just decided, look, dumbass, You're hurting no one right here except yourself. Either get up and go to work and begin to make it happen again, or quit. But this whole feeling sorry for yourself, this whole wham, because somebody's getting treated better than I am, boo hoo hoo, it ain't helping nobody. It's hurting no one except myself. The only person really suffering was me. And when I finally kicked my butt into gear and decided I'm in the business for me, I'm not in the business for so-and-so, I believe that was kind of one of those pivotal defining moments. And I've had to rely back on that decision 13 or 14 years ago, many times since, because, in the insurance industry, until I went out completely on my own, I always had a hierarchy. I always had somebody I had to answer to. And I've had some really, really good managers, and I've had some really bad ones. And just remembering why we're in the business and why we're doing this and why we chose to get into a commission-based sales position, I think just understanding why it is that you originally got into it can get you through some of those hard times. And then Jay, number two, the second thing I would add to that is my entire world changed. I mean, I was having what most people would call success over the past 15 years, but about 5 years ago, I think it was, roughly 5 years ago, I got really, really serious about mentorship and finding mentors. I was very unhappy with the leadership that I was supposed to be getting from my hierarchy, and I struck out on my own. I hired a consultant. We ripped through my business model. I started doing personal development. I got introduced to Tony Robbins. I got introduced to just the powerhouses in the self-development space, and my whole world, man, the last 5 years, my income, my results, my happiness through the freaking roof.
Yeah.
I took personal responsibility.
It's a key commonality between a lot of the entrepreneurs that I talk to that succeed at a high level is, number one, investing in ourselves, and you guys listening, okay, investing in yourself, personal development, and taking care of yourself. So it's not, it's not just one of those throwaway phrases when somebody says you have to take care of yourself first before you can take care of somebody else. Because if you're not good with yourself, you're not going to be good at your job, right?
Well, Jay, that takes me to a story I shared a few weeks ago, right? Like, what's in your cup, what's inside of you is what spills out of you. And so when you find yourself, and all of us do this, I don't care how amazing you are, I don't care how wonderful you are, I don't care how much self-development, self-reflection you do, 99.999% of even those of us who work our tail off to fill our cup, when we let our cup run dry, when we stop having people and processes, and when we stop getting things filled up inside of us, we cannot pour positivity out into the marketplace. And those of us who are entrepreneurial and we're leaders and we're constantly pouring into our clients, we're pouring into our team, we're pouring into our people and our administrators and our support staff, like we're pouring out of ourselves all the time. And if you don't have something filling you back up, man, your cup can run dry so fast. So whatever is inside of you at that time is what's going to be reflected out onto other people. When you're empty and you're dry and you're hurting, that's when hurt people hurt people. The best of advice I could ever give anyone is to make sure, no matter how busy you get, no matter it's the fourth quarter in the insurance business and it's insanity, you've got to take time to fill your cup so that you can in turn fill up others.
So yeah, sometimes that is so difficult. I'll tell you, for me personally, it's so hard sometimes to just take that day to yourself or the afternoon. You just want to grind it out and you're in the flow. Like I've been getting up, I get up early already, but usually I have my routine and I go to the gym and I have these good things happening to me to prepare me for the day. Recently, I've been getting up at like 4:30 and just grinding it out. I mean, working like 16-hour days because I have deadlines. I have things that I need to meet, so I don't take that time for myself. But we feel it, You feel it. I feel it. Let me ask you this hard question for you. One, you can only pick one.
Okay.
Your number one key to sales.
To sales, success, sales.
Yeah, being a salesperson. What's the number one thing? If you could pick one thing that somebody needs to focus on to be a good salesperson?
Need and value, not product and price.
Talk to me about that.
And the number one mistake I see happening inside of our industry all the time is the race to the bottom. As a product becomes more commoditized, or as a product line becomes more commoditized, the number one way salespeople like to compete, price. They want to do competitive intelligence. They want to know how their product is slightly better than the other carrier's product. They want to, well, I can get the same exact blah, blah, blah accident plan, or I can do the same hospital or short-term disability. Ours is going to have this feature, this advantage, and this benefit, and it's only going to cost you this much money. And here comes the next carrier. Well, if they're going to do it for that, we're going to do it for this. Well, if they're going to do it for this, we'll do it for that. And it's just like this. They try to beat each other up by going to the bottom of the barrel, which guess what? The carriers in our world, the carriers will a lot of times make those concessions to win the business. But guess where they take all the points from in order to do that?
Consumer.
They take all the points from the agent.
From the agent.
Agents end up doing all this work and literally, and many times can get 0% commission, but they won the business. And I'm like, guys, you've got to stop selling in an environment that's becoming more and more and more competitive. If you want to sell and actually make money in this business, you've got to learn to sell based on the need of the product and the value that you represent. Increase the value you bring to the table. You do not decrease the price.
How?
Yes.
How do you teach? How does your tribe increase value? What are some of the ways?
Okay, what is the most expensive thing you pay for every single month and almost every other American pays for every month, but yet they don't understand almost anything about it?
I don't know. Mortgage?
Insurance?
Insurance. Yeah, that's true. A lot of insurance.
One of the most expensive things that we all pay for, and yet hardly anybody understands what it is, how it actually works, and most of us don't figure it out until when?
Until you have a problem.
So you have a problem. And then all of a sudden you're starting to figure out, what are my deductibles? What are my out-of-pocket expenses? What is this in-network versus out-of-network? What does PPO mean? What does HMO mean? All of a sudden you get the education, but the problem is you're getting the education while you've wrapped the car around the telephone pole. Wrong time to get educated. Right?
You want the cheapest first, and I even find myself doing that.
Oh, yeah.
You want the cheapest first, and then, you're like, okay, well, what do I get for that?
Right. And suddenly you start finding out, like us, we're specific to the life and health space. Man, the biggest way that I teach my people to bring value is through education. When you're able to take something very, very big and very scary and very complex like life and health insurance and boil it down to very common third grade level English where anybody can understand the concept that it is that you're helping them with, like as dumb as this sounds, I teach people that are making 6 figures of commission in our industry to tell stories like Jack and Jill. What happened when Jack and Jill went up the hill? Like literally nursery rhymes that anybody can understand. So that when you break it down through a Jack and Jill story, they're like, oh my God, I need to be Jack or I need to be Jill. I don't want to be Jack, right? Does that make sense? Like we do the dumbest things to break it down to the nuance so that you're bringing legitimate value to the table where all of a sudden when carrier B and carrier C and carrier D are coming in and brokers are coming in and other reps are coming in trying to steal my business, or that's not true, earn the business I've already earned, right? There's not much of an angle for them to come at other than, hey, we'll do, you've got this, and this product in place. We'll put those products in place, but we'll do it for less money. Okay. And how do you educate my staff? What do you mean? Well, how would you educate my staff? Well, we'll tell them all about the product, but tell me how you would do that. And all of a sudden their sales pitch falls completely apart because they are so accustomed to selling based on product and price. They have absolutely no understanding whatsoever how to sell based on need and value. And so all of a sudden I no longer have to compete. My people no longer compete as long as we're reasonable, right? You can't charge a 20x multiple for a commodity type of product. But when you're able to, I don't have to lose groups anymore. I haven't lost groups in a long time based on, hey, you know what, Zach, carrier B called us and they're going to give us the same basic thing you've given us, but it's going to save us, a couple $100 a month. They don't care. It's not about little tripping. You heard the story. What is it? Don't trip over dollars to save dimes or whatever.
Yeah. Something like that.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's the whole essence here is that when you anchor the way that you sell based on need and value, when the client literally values what it is that you bring to the table, and most of the time, I can't change the product. I don't get to go to underwriting and say, hey, I want a special deal for this little 12-man group over here. Make it super sexy so that nobody else can ever come in and compete based on the product. Underwriting looks at you and goes, like, talk to me if you got 12,000 lives, but I ain't doing nothing for 12-man group.
Yeah.
Make sense, Jay?
Yeah, it makes plenty
we
of
got
sense.
to come at it and say, well, this is the product. I can't change the product. And I also have no negotiation whatsoever what the price is. The carrier sets the price. So if I cannot change the price, and I cannot change the underwriting terms of the product, then guess what I have to sell on? What value do I bring to the table, and what need do they have for the product that I'm putting in place? If I can anchor in the need and anchor in the value that my team or myself or my agency or whoever it is, the people that I train and coach, when they anchor themselves based on value, on the products that they need, price is no longer the differentiator.
Yeah. And we see that a lot in real estate, but not even just real estate, but mortgages. I think of when, as a real estate agent, when I have a mortgage company coming to quote unquote pitch me on their programs, I'm like, honestly, I don't give a fuck. Like, everybody's got the same thing, really. You know, you can get access to the same thing here, access to the same thing there. I want to know I can count on you. I want to know that you are going to, and you don't have to answer your phone all the time. Like, that's not respectful, but I want to know that you're going to set an expectation with me and you're going to follow the fuck through, because that doesn't happen. People don't follow through. They make promises to get the sale. And this is a problem in the real estate industry, because we have people who will, and it's lack of education, right? I mean, it takes in most states less than 80 hours to get a real estate license to sell somebody's most valuable asset. But in most states, it takes over 1,000 hours to get a barber's license to cut somebody's hair. So, so that lack of education, you know, it's, people just don't ask the right questions. They just don't seem to care, and they'll just push somebody into a situation. And it's
I can help a little bit there with anybody who's on this thing. Here's the good news, is those people you're describing are not watching right now.
Exactly.
They don't take enough personal responsibility to even show up and do anything like this. So thankfully, you're not even talking to those people. But for those of you that are listening to this and you are interacting and you are paying attention, first of all, congratulations, because you're probably in the top 20% of your field. There's a very good likelihood, because you're doing self-development, you're doing self-promotion. My advice to anybody on this call, though, I see a bigger problem with the people you and I speak to, because we don't speak to the ding-dongs that don't even know how to return a voicemail or a phone call.
Yeah.
Like, those idiots are out of the business and they don't know it yet. So I wish them the best of luck. Can't help them. Don't want to. But for those of you on this call that are you're in the top 20% of your market, you're working your butts off, you're crushing it. I actually find the opposite problem to be true. I actually find most of my insurance entrepreneurs, for example, the people that I coach, I don't coach the ding dongs that don't even know how to return a voicemail. I can't help you. I'm talking to the ones that are doing the opposite, where they're crushing themselves, where they're working too much, too hard, too fast, too long. They're doing 16-hour days, Jay. Right? Like there is a time and a place in our business where all of us in the world of any entrepreneurship or commission-based sales, are there times of heavy season? Are there times that we have to grind it out? Are there times where we're going to just wear ourselves out? Yes. All of us in the insurance world, the world of entrepreneurism, go through those cycles. But my gosh, some people have forgotten that it should be a cycle, and for them it's a lifestyle, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
The biggest problem that I see is when you're successful like that and you care so much that you're trying to serve your clients almost, I would say almost too much. You're giving so much of yourself that you are robbing from your family. That's a problem. Those people, listen, guys, if you're on this call and you're doing that, the first and most important thing you could possibly do for yourselves is invest into a good administrator, invest into a good personal assistant, invest into a good, even VA. Find somebody for 10 or 12 or 15 or $20 an hour. They're oh my God, the amount of weight they will lift off your chest and the amount they can make you look like a rock star. I hear this in my world of the insurance entrepreneur all the time. I can't hire somebody to help my clients, and I can't hire somebody to to do claims and to do, you were talking like what you were just talking about, Jay. I don't consider that the value. I consider that the service. And if you're unwilling to service your clientele, if you're unwilling to communicate back with them in a timely response and return their emails and return their voicemails, you're going to go out of business. Service is no longer a differentiator. Service is required if you want to continue to hang your shingle.
When you have somebody that asks, what makes you different as a real estate agent, as an insurance sales entrepreneur, right? What makes you different? Well, I'm honest and I give good service. And it's like, yeah, no shit. That's expected.
Yeah, that is literally expected.
Yes, you have to know what makes you different, like really different. And here's the problem that I see. We're not putting ourselves in the other person's shoes. You know, like we can't see where they sit and what they're thinking. Do you experience that in your industry, and how do you coach on that?
Well, what you just said is exactly. I'm all the time taking the insurance entrepreneur, telling them, take your hat off, right? You're no longer an insurance entrepreneur. You're now the business owner. The decisions the sales pitch that you're making, the value proposition that you're sending, the need that you're trying to establish, stop doing it as an insurance entrepreneur and start looking at it as the business owner. And when you put yourself in their shoes and you start listening, not with your mouth and your ears, but when you listen with their ears as the business owner, you'll hear the sales pitch differently. You're going to hear everything you do differently when you stop listening as yourself and you start listening as that ideal prospect. Right? So you'll start to realize, and I tell people this all the time, even in our own lives, here's what's something that's interesting. All of us, every person watching this video in some capacity is a decision maker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now they may or may not have a support staff and 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 employees working for them, but they are still a decision maker. When they want to go buy a product or buy a service, they're in a decision-making capacity of, am I going to spend my hard-earned money to buy the product or service? Let's just take, for example, that they want to go buy a new car, right? Why is it that the car insurance profession is so, stereotypically not a good experience? Why is that?
Yeah. In my opinion, because I don't know, it's always been a high pressure kind of thing, and you just feel that going in and the expectation is already there.
Which is so weird, right? Because when you stop and think about it, why does in that, don't get mad at me if you're watching and you're in car sales. I'm just saying, stereotypically, you're in a tough environment. We in the insurance game are in a tough environment. Stereotypically, insurance people are liars.
You know why?
They misrepresent the product.
Most times I've been sold a car, it's been a shitty experience.
Yep.
You know, but there has been at least one great experience where the person asked me questions and they were willing to walk the fuck away from the sale if it wasn't a good fit.
There you go. And that's all I want, no matter what industry you're in. And you're in commission-based sales, the way that I teach this is very simple. If you're working with your avatar, right? If you're working with your ideal client, the type of people you just love to serve. So it doesn't matter what industry you're in, every freaking industry out there, be it car sales, real estate sales, insurance sales, there are clients you love to serve. And then there are clients you never want to talk to. If you got the choice, you'd never even speak to them, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing you need to do is figure out, who do you love working with? If you're a realtor, do you love working with first-time home buyers and working through their credit issues? And that's not a bad thing. If you love helping first-time home buyers get into their first-time home, then man, establish yourself as the dominant first-time home buyer. If you're a first-time home buyer, I'm going to help you crush it. Here are the 3 things every first-time home buyer needs to know. I'm the best there is. If you're a first-time home buyer,
as Russell Brunson says, the category.
There you go. Category king, baby.
Yeah.
Right. If you're in the real estate game, but you, like for me, I do not enjoy working with newbie style clients. It's not a bad thing. It's just, that's not my avatar. Right.
Yep.
If I was in the real estate game, it's like, man, I'm the guy. If you are looking for a home that is between, $500,000 to 1.5 million, with between 3 and 5 acres, and you want to be within 15 minutes of the city, I'm your guy. If it has 3 to 5 acres and it's 15 minutes to the city, I know about it. I know where it is. I know before it hits MLS. I own that category, right? Figure out what you love doing. Who do you love to serve? What type of clientele is just, man, if I only got to work with these type of people. And then here's it is. When you work with that avatar, the only other thing that's required in sales to crush it is to find your avatar that has desire. That's it. If this was a mathematical formula, Jay, it's avatar plus desire equals sales.
I love it.
And so
avatar plus desire
equals sales.
Desire meaning internal desire?
Meaning that the avatar you're wanting to work with has the desire for the product to represent. Right? That's where high pressure sales and sales tactics and all. I hate 90% of the sales training that I've seen out there. I hate it. It's high pressure. It's sticky. It's icky. I just don't like it. I don't like anything that uses tricks or trickery or high pressure. I make a lot of money working with my avatar that has desire. And when I find small business owners who love and care about their employees and would love to have benefits packages put in place, but don't know how to do so, they have the desire to have benefits packages put in place, but don't know how to do so. Avatar plus desire, dude, we do sales to the tune of millions and millions of dollars a year.
Yeah.
And we don't have to talk them into it. We don't have to misrepresent the product. We don't have to pretend that it's something it's not. Yeah. Avatar plus desire equals sales. When you are working, and the reason this is so freaking critical to grab, I've seen this even in the real estate market where you got an avatar because you don't have your avatar. You just have someone that wants to buy a house, right? So they are supposed to have desire. Yet you've taken them and shown them 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 different properties, and none of them have been the right property, right? And that's either because, and in my experience, here's what most of it is, right? Champagne taste, beer budget. They want a list that is impossible to get at the price point they're trying to get it at. And a really freaking good sales agent should be able to tell that person on meeting number 1, I don't know that we're the right fit to work together. Why not? Well, to be very, very, very candid with you, you're either going to have to dramatically reduce your list or dramatically increase your budget because what you're looking for doesn't exist, and I cannot manifest something out of the thin blue sky.
Yeah, exactly. So here you go at that pivot point, because I'm 110% with you. At that pivot point, it's so what do you have to give up? What's more important to you? Because you're going to have to give up something. Either you go up in price or down in amenities. You're not going to be able to have a boat in a community. Like those two things don't work well. They don't happen together. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, here's the thing. When you're talking about desire, my key word on that's motivation. And if somebody's motivated so let's talk about a seller. A seller will say, I'm not going to sell below this price. Look, you don't set the fucking price. I'm sorry. The market does. Right. So, I don't say that to people, but this is what I'm thinking in my head. But it's okay because they're saying that because they're saying that. That's the way they feel. And they're also protecting themselves. But, the whole point of that is, do they have the motivation? And that's what we have to find. Do they have the motivation? Why are they selling? They're selling a move to New Mexico. Oh, great. Well, why are you moving to New Mexico? The weather. Oh, there's a lot of places that have weather like that. What's important about New Mexico specifically? Well, our daughter's there. Oh, no kidding. Any grandbabies? Yeah, we just had 2 that were their twins. They're born. Her husband left her, and it's like, oh my God, she needs us. That's desire and motivation. They want to sell. They need to sell. They need someone who gives a shit. So as you can tell, I get passionate about that kind of stuff because a lot of people do it wrong. And agents watching this, listening to this, if you aren't doing it that way, that's not your fault. It's the lack of good sales and marketing training out there. Hence why we have Agent Impact and why we put this together.
Well, Jay, can I add to that?
Yeah.
One of the big objections that I hear from salespeople is they're like, well, but I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to tell someone what they should or shouldn't do, or what they should or shouldn't buy, or what policy they should or shouldn't enroll in, or what they should or shouldn't list their house for. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? You are paid a commission to do a job with excellence. And if you want to separate yourself from the pack, you've got to be very, very comfortable being confident, comfortable in your confidence, meaning I expect, this is a great example. So 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, I called a friend of mine up who's a realtor in Colorado Springs. If you know anything about the Colorado Springs market, it is hot. That real estate market is so damn hot that they're selling houses faster than they can get them on MLS. We're at a higher price point with our house than what the market as a whole. We're in a really nice neighborhood. We're up there in price point. I called my buddy who's a realtor that I bought the house from a couple of years ago. And I said, hey, Nate, I want to sell the house. We're going to be hitting the road with the kids in the RV for a year or so. What do I need to do? And Nate called me. We went to his office, and he had this huge presentation binder thing that he had made with market research and data and analytics and blah. And this is partly because it's just my personality. But here's my belief firmly. If I'm calling you as the agent, I view you as the professional. And here's what I told Nate. He started going through this book where he's going to essentially convince me what I need to list the house for. And I said, Nate, close the book. Here's what I want from you. If I want to sell the house in the next 60 days, what price point does it sell for? And if I want to wait for 6 months for the right buyer, what price point does it sell for?
Yeah.
He said, well, if you just want to cut straight to the chase, if you want a 60-day sale, here's your price. If you want to wait it out and hopefully we find the right buyer, here's your price point. I was like, so my net spread is about 30 grand. So he said, yep, about 30 grand net spread, depending on which way we go. I said, cool, listed at this. And I gave him something right nice in the middle. And I was like, to be honest, dude, I can wait. I don't care if it doesn't really matter if it takes a year to sell the house. I don't care. I just don't. It's important that you as a realtor are able to help your buyer unemotionally. So in other words, you're going to have to engage the intellectual side of their brain. Because people, when they buy their house, they think their house is always worth more than what it ever is, right? That's why people are like, I won't sell for less than blah.
Every single person.
Like as a professional, you've got to be able to look back at that client and either make the determination of, you're not my avatar. I don't want to work with you. If you're not going to listen to me and take my advice, then that's cool. There are 50 starving realtors out there that will take your listing. You're going to fire 48 of them. Because they're not going to be able to sell your house for what you think it's worth. So best of luck.
Yeah.
Or that's where you've got to push back. Hey, Jay, I hear you, man. And I would love it if we could get 30% more than the market's willing to pay.
Yes.
But unless there is a unicorn buyer out there who just dramatically falls in love with your home, but dude, let me just be honest, it's a stick home. It's a stick builder. There are 4,000 of those floor plans within a 6-block radius.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
And if you want to list it for that, I wish you the best of luck. I'm not your realtor.
Yeah.
But the problem is, and I teach the same thing in the insurance world. You got to be able to push back on a client. They expect, you're going to earn so much more respect, or you lose having to work with that client. But I would just ask, do you want to work with the client that you know? If you take the listing and you know, there's no way the market's going to support the price they wanted at, you're going to do marketing work. You're going to do advertising work. You're going to hold open houses for what? For what? To make sure you don't get a sale? So they get pissed off with you 90 days from now when they can't make their mortgage payment. They're trying to move to New Mexico and they're stressed the hell out. And now they've done a price drop below what you wanted to sell it for in the first place.
Yeah.
Like you owe it to the client as the professional to push back on that.
Yeah. Be honest, be confident, know your product, know your service. Don't focus on price, focus more on value. It sounds like those are some awesome takeaways. And Zach, dude, it's awesome knowing you and getting to share like space with you, getting to share stages with you. And, thanks so much for being on and sharing all your knowledge to Agent Impact. If you could leave one thing with this audience listening to this, what would it be?
One thing. Oh, geez. Outside of what we've already talked about, I'll do a quick recap. It'd be first and foremost, invest into yourself. You got to invest into you. And sometimes investing into you, Jay, means taking time for yourself, intentionally blocking some time off and just breathe. Number 2, personal development. Duh. That's why you guys are here. Congratulations on already checking that box. And then man, really, really, really dig into ways that you can differentiate yourself from every other realtor out there. Find ways to sell based on need and value, not product and price, and then just watch as things begin to explode for you.
Yeah. Awesome nuggets, man. Hey, thanks for being on. You guys listening and watching. Stay tuned for the other
I like that
speakers.
word. I'm
What?
taking watching.
Watching? You like that? Yeah. If you're watching this, okay, like, me and Zach, we want to know more about that and how that works. Stay tuned. Thanks for stopping by. See you guys.